From the grand monarchies of Europe to the legendary monarchies of Asia, there have been hundreds of royal houses in the world, but there are only a handful of royal houses that not only managed to survive the time, but thrived to become rich houses of the world. But do you know who these royal houses are? Maybe not. In today's video, we bring you a list of 12 of the richest royal houses of the world that hold insane amounts of wealth. So without further ado, let's start. At number 12, we have the Royal House of Doria Pamphilj from Italy. Founded in 1610, this royal house used to be a prominent authority in Italy, and its members used to lead a life of luxury. But with the adoption of democracy in Italy, the house lost its authority and power within the nation. Now the leader of this family is Princess Josine Doria Pamphilj. Though the house no longer holds any political power, they still hold an insane amount of wealth, which shows from their multi-million-dollar palaces and art collection, making them a rich house. The Royal House of Doria Pamphilj owns Palazzo Doria Pamphilj Palace. It's a $300 million magnificent palace in Rome, which is decorated with multi-million-dollar paintings by Caravaggio, Velázquez, and even Raphael. They have other places near Rome. It's the $200 million Villa Doria Pamphilj, which has a big park with gardens, fountains, and a fancy house decorated by Raphael himself. But apart from the palaces in Rome, they have a palace in Genoa called the Palazzo Doria Trussi, which is worth almost $500 million. All magnanimous assets take the wealth of this house to be more than $6 billion. Next, we have the Alawi dynasty, the Royal House of Morocco. This royal house came into existence in 1631, when Moulay Ali Sharif founded the house. Since its foundation, the Alawi house has been an important factor in Morocco's history, as they have had some great kings like Moulay Ismail and Mohammed VI, who not only ruled the nation but led it towards its growth. But unlike other houses in Europe, this house didn't lose its grip on the nation, and it holds a strong political power in Morocco to this day. However, with this political control, this house became wealthy by controlling trade, taxes, and Morocco's resources. Now, the net worth of the Alawi house is around $8.2 billion. The current head of the house is King Mohammed VI, who controls the major sectors of the nation and has investments in multi-million-dollar companies like $11 billion worth of Adi Jarawafi Bank, or Société Nationale d'Investissement, which is a $3.6 million company itself. All this shows how this royal house has spread its economic front over the years, but apart from their investments, they also own great assets, like the Dar Batha Palace, the Royal Palace in Rabat, and the Skihirat Royal Palace, and they have a combined worth of over $1.2 billion. At number 10, we have the Grosvenor Noble House from the United Kingdom. The noble house was started in the 17th century when Sir Richard Grosvenor bought land in Mayfair. Since then, the noble house and its members have been deeply involved in the real estate business. The Grosvenor Noble House from the United Kingdom makes money mainly from owning and managing a large amount of property in London and other parts of the world. They have a family-owned business called the Grosvenor Group, which is valued at $9 billion as a company. However, the net worth of the Grosvenor Royal House is more than $12 billion. Now, the current head of the house is Hugh Grosvenor, the 7th Duke of Westminster, who not only controls the historic house but also controls his family business. Apart from the real estate, the Grosvenor Royal House also generates revenue from its rural estates and farms and its investments in food and agri-tech firms, which is around $1 billion. And because of its insane wealth, its members own some of the most majestic assets in London, like the Eaton House, a $500 million palace with gold and art, and Mayfair Property, which is a $2 billion area with old and nice houses and balconies all on its own. They also have the Ajas Castle, a $50 million castle in Scotland. And in Belgravia, they have the White Mansions worth over $1 billion on their own, with gardens and luxury included. Next, we have the Al-Qasimi Royal House from the Emirate of Ras Al Khaimah in Sharjah in the UAE. This royal house was founded in 1722 and now controls 2 emirates in the UAE. From the royal house from the Emirate of Ras Al Khaimah in Sharjah, UAE. The current ruler of Sharjah is Sheikh Sultan bin Mohammed Al-Qasimi, whereas Sheikh Saud bin Sark Al-Qasimi is the Emir of Ras Al Khaimah. Since its foundation, the house has contributed to the region's cultural and political landscape. The royal house was part of clever treaties, early oil gambles and global investments which transformed the desert royal house from nomads into oil titans. Talking about their wealth, the net worth of this house is around $25 billion, and this fortune of the house includes palaces like Burj Al-Qasimi, which is estimated at $435 million, a glass and steel palace, or $50 million worth of Al Dahid Palace. Apart from this, the house owns an architectural gem, the Sharjah Museum of Islamic Civilization houses. It's a grand museum that showcases the history of aviation in the region. But their assets are not just limited to the UAE, rather it's spread across Europe, including an English estate worth around $300 million, a $50 million London mansion opposite Buckingham Palace, and a $100 million Swiss chalet for luxurious retreats. The Al-Qasimi's family's wealth is further highlighted by a $14 million worth of Al Noor Island, a floating park in Sharjah that blends art and environmentalism. Next, we have the Royal House of Brunei, the Royal House of Bolkiah. The Royal House of Bolkiah is the ruling dynasty of Brunei Darussalam, dating back to the 14th century. Currently, there are over 25 members in the house, but Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah leads the family and has been the reigning monarch since 1967. The House of Bolkiah is the richest family in Brunei with a net worth of $25 billion. Their wealth is largely due to the country's oil reserves, which they use to invest in various companies such as the Brunei Investment Agency, a $39 billion company mostly controlled by the family. They also have invested in Royal Brunei Airlines, which is valued at $1.2 billion. Apart from these, the family has also invested in other ventures such as hotel chains worth $1.7 billion located in Brunei and in London. The Brunei Royal House also owns a beautiful palace called the Nurul Ayman, which cost around $5 billion to build. The palace is decorated with gold and marble almost everywhere. Inside the palace, there's a big mosque with colorful pictures, a huge hall for parties, and a zoo with different animals. The House of Bolkiah also has over 500 luxurious cars in their garages worth around $2 billion and is considered to be the most expensive car collection in the world. At number 7, we have the House of Maktoum from the UAE. This royal house was started in 1833 by Sheikh Maktoum bin Budi and Obeid bin Said. However, since 2006, the house has been led by Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. The Royal House of Maktoum got rich by good leadership and using Dubai's economy. But over time, the house expanded its investment portfolio to different industries, mostly in real estate and in tourism. This includes national assets like the Burj Khalifa, DP World, and a great airline like Emirates. According to Forbes 2023, the House of Maktoum has a net worth of $28 billion, and this is generated mostly from oil. They have landmarks like the Burj Al Arab, a $1 billion hotel. Aside from this, they also own the Za'abil Palace, a $650 million palace which is decorated with valuable wood and even gold. But among all the majestic assets, the most unique of them is the Palm Jumeirah. It's a $4.7 billion worth of beautiful island. Apart from this, the house owns $1.5 billion Burj Khalifa through their $11 billion worth of Dubai Holding Company. Besides the Dubai Holding Company, the house owns DP World, a $50 billion company that runs sports. Next, we have a royal house from Thailand, and this is the House of Mahidol. The Chakri dynasty, also known as the House of Chakri, or House of Mahidol, was founded in 1782 by King Rama I in the Kingdom of Siam, which is the present-day Thailand. Now, though the royal family no longer holds power within the nation, they're still politically strong and rich. The wealth of the royal house derives from different resources, and this involves controlling vital sectors of the nation, like healthcare, tourism, and contraction, which fueled their wealth for years, and later it was complemented by their smart investments in strategic royal connections. Now, the net worth of this royal house is around $50 billion, and around 90% of this wealth is held by the present head of the house and king of the nation, which is King Rama X. Now, this huge amount of wealth of the House of Mahidol, it includes a $53 million Shikralana Royal Palace. This villa is adorned with gilded halls and expansive gardens and stands as a dazzling icon of royal heritage. Most majestic total asset of the Thai royal house is the Dusit Palace compound, which is worth around $800 million on its own, and includes 13 royal residences, the teak-built Vimanek Mansion, and the majestic Ananta Samakthom Throne Hall. Apart from this, the Crown Property Bureau, which manages the finances of the house, manages its billions of investments along with Siam Group, which generates $400 to $600 million each year for the royal house. At number 5, we have the Royal House of Windsor. This royal house of Britain emerged in the Norway invasion in 1066 when William the Conqueror landed in England and became the first king of the House of Normandy. Later in 1917, when King George V renamed the house, it became the House of Windsor. The current leader of the House of Windsor is King Charles III, who ascended to the throne in 2022 after the passing of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. Currently, there are more than 50 members in the House, with 8 core members. The source of their income includes historic wealth linked to the Victorian era, and along with this, the royal family has invested in various industries and sectors, including stocks, bonds, and other financial investments, which generate tons of money. Currently, the most prominent investment of the Crown Estate is the Duchy of Lancaster, which is a $1.1 billion company solely owned by the House. Now, the net worth of the royal house is $88 billion, and this colossal wealth of the Windsor family includes assets like $4.9 billion worth of the Buckingham Palace. Then there's Sandringham House, which is valued at $56 million, and the Balmoral Castle, which is estimated to be around $81 million. But the most fascinating asset of this house is the $10 billion worth of the art collection, which is the largest private art collection in the world. Next, we have the House of Al Nahyan of Abu Dhabi, UAE. This royal house was founded in 1761 by Dahidiyah bin Aysal Al Nahyan, who became the first ruler of the Emirate of Abu Dhabi. However, the ruler of the Emirate, Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, who ascended the throne after the death of his brother, the 13th of May 2022, now controls the net worth of this royal house to be around $300 billion. And like any other Arab nation, most of their wealth is generated through 2 major industries: oil and real estate. They control the $150 billion Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, which produces 3 million barrels of oil per day. They also own International Holding Company. It's a conglomerate that owns hundreds of businesses around the world and is valued at around $235 billion. Now, coming to their assets, the Royal House owns several valuable assets, including Qasr Al Watan Palace in Abu Dhabi, worth $475 million. They also own the Presidential Palace, valued at $500 million. And Qasr Al Muwaji, worth $50 million. Aside from these palaces, they also own the iconic Chrysler Building in New York, valued at $870 million. They've also invested in unique ventures, such as the Manchester City Football Club, worth $4 billion, and global giant Virginia Galactic, valued at $1 billion on its own. Next, we have the House of Thani, a Qatari royal family. This royal house's rise started in the mid-19th century when Sheikh Jassim bin Mohammed Al Thani founded the dynasty, establishing Qatar as a united nation. Since its foundation, there have been 10 rulers in the house who played an active role in the nation's modernization and development. Currently, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani leads the house, serving as Qatar's emir since 2013. Coming to wealth, since Qatar is a major oil-producing nation, 75% of the house's wealth is generated from the oil through Qatar Energy Company, which is controlled by the house. But apart from this, the company also controls $365 billion worth of sovereign wealth fund of a nation called the Qatar Investment Authority, or the QIA. QIA has invested in different sectors around the world, including Qatar Holding Company, LLC, a Qatar national bank, and it also has acquired a 17% stake in the Volkswagen Group, Porsche, and Hochtief. Additionally, the house owns various world-class landmarks, like the Al-Sabah fort, worth $50 billion, Al-Wajba Palace, worth $435 million, London's Heralds, worth $1.5 billion, and the $3.6 million Shard. They also own a luxurious hotel called the Hotel de Paris Monte Carlo, which is worth $585 million. All these investments and properties contribute to the house's net worth to be more than $335 billion. Next, we have the Al-Sabah House from Kuwait. Founded in 1758, the Al-Sabah Royal House has been ruling Kuwait since 1899. The Royal House lineage dates back to Sheikh Sabah I, who ascended the throne. While not directly involved in the politics, the Al-Sabah family plays a crucial role in the nation's prosperity, with wealth derived mainly from the country's resources. The family's journey to wealth began with Kuwait's oil boom. In the early 20th century, influential positions such as sheikhs with vast oil revenues fueled their prosperity. The ruling family has leveraged oil wealth to establish economic stability and global influence. Even though the family has a humble beginning, the Al-Sabah, Kuwait's $360 billion dynasty, is spread across sand and steel. The fortune of this royal house includes the Bayan Palace, which is $435 million worth of an Ottoman-style palace. Their assets in the nation also include the iconic Jah Castle, a 19th century fort-turned-museum, which is worth $50 million. But most of this wealth of this house is not just limited to Kuwait, but is spread across Europe. It has properties of more than $7 billion in Europe, and that includes Harold, which is worth $2.4 billion, and a $3.6 billion shard stamp. Their portfolio of assets has even reached New York, as they've ownership of the Empire State Building, painting their name today on a global canvas. At number 1, we have the House of Al Saud, the ruling royal house of Saudi Arabia. Established in 1720, the House of Saud has ruled Saudi Arabia since its founding. But after the discovery of oil in the 20th century, Saudi Arabia transformed from a struggling nation to a global economic giant. Now, though this house has more than 10,000 members, the house is controlled by two major figures: the head of the house, King Salman, and the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman. And only the collective net worth of these two individuals is worth more than $35 billion. But when it comes to the collective wealth of the house, it's estimated to exceed $3 trillion. This insane amount of wealth comes from various sources, mostly from their oil and some smart lucrative investments in giant companies. Major companies of the house's portfolio include investments in $4 billion worth of a chemical company called SABIC. But the major investment of this house is $329 billion worth of Saudi Aramco, which deals in the nation's huge oil reserves. Apart from investment, the house and its core members own some of the luxurious assets, like yachts, art collections, and exquisite accessories. But among its notable assets is the Al Yamaha Palace in Riyadh, serving as the official residence and office of the King of Saudi Arabia, which is worth around $300 million on its own. Besides this, the house also owns Riyadh Urga Palace. It's a palace spread over 4 million square feet, and it marvels with its worth of around $200 million. Thanks for watching. Comment down below your favorite part and let us know. Also press the subscribe button and bell icon for regular updates.